Benicio. Benicio, this one. Thank you.
Thanks, Benicio.
Let's stop here, please.
Go see the movie.
Thank you, Benicio. Up here, thank you.
Hello.
Look, I just want to start by asking you a little bit about working with Oliver Stone, because we're going to talk obviously about this film and lots of your other work as well. A lot of actors say that working with Oliver Stone, he's a director that keeps them on their toes. Does that ring true for you with your experience on Savages?
Yeah, I mean, he is. He pushes the actor, but what I find really interesting was that he pushed himself, and I also found out that he was willing to listen and he collaborated, and so that made it kind of like very interesting because I thought Oliver was a one-way street kind of guy, but he's a two-way street type of guy.
Did you change his mind on anything in the process of making the movie?
Did he change his mind?
Or did you change his mind on anything in particular?
Well, maybe on, I don't remember specifics, but in the process of talking about the character, yeah, he was open to ideas and he explored some things, thoughts, and yeah.
Okay. I was interested going back and looking at your film history, which is you've made tons and tons and tons of film, but your feature film debut was actually in a Bond film, which was License to Kill, and you were the youngest ever Bond henchman. And throughout your history, you've played so many different killers and criminals and stuff like that. I'm wondering, is there an appeal to in the psychology of bad guys, as it were, for you as an actor?
No, I think the appeal is the other way around. I think they come to me. They pick me. No, it's just I've been lucky to be in a lot of good movies. Not all of them, but I've been lucky, and that was one of the first movies I made. I think it's the second movie I made. And
damn it, Wikipedia is wrong. Who would have known?
Yeah, well, but I was a normal kid growing up in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and in my bedroom I had a picture of a Sean Connery movie called Thunderball, and that picture was in my bedroom. I never thought I was going to be an actor, and then cut to like 10 years later, I'm doing a Bond film. That's pretty bizarre.
So you never had the plan to. But when did the acting thing start? Where did that begin for you?
In college, my first year of college, I actually wanted to make my schedule a little easier, so I felt like, acting 101, who can fail that? And then I just fell in love with it. There's a logic to acting. There's a common sense to it if you study it.
Matthew asked a really interesting question about acting. I'm wondering if we could get the microphone moved to Matthew now so he can ask that question.
In your career, you've worked with a lot of really, really good actors. Is there any particular actor that you found you've learned something from, or just the acting experience that they're so much more giving? Any particular person? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I've worked with really good actors from Jeff Bridges to Robert De Niro to Kevin Spacey, Sean Penn, Johnny Depp. I mean, the list of Emily Blunt, Juliette Lewis. There's so many, but I think the common denominator is that with all these actors, the ones I mentioned and the ones that I'm forgetting, is that there is a sense of giving, that the more you include the other actor, the better you will be. And I've learned from all of them, but the common denominator is that there is a sense of like if that you have to be open to include and to listen to the other actor, because the better that other actor is, the better you will be. It's almost like if you win by winning, or you get better by making sure that the other actor is better. Like working with John Travolta, in this film. You know, it was an example of that. We kind of like, by instinct, understood that I had to look out for him, and I expected him to look out for me, and be able to listen, which I think is maybe the most difficult thing in acting, is to listen, to really listen, because you know your lines, but I think the trick is to listen, and the good actors understand that.
Before you get to the point where you're acting against another actor, when you're reading through scripts and you'd get scripts sent to you, what do you look for as an actor? What are the things that excite you in prospective movies?
Well, you look for something that is original, and you can tell if a writer, has done the research. Like, for example, this movie, Savages, the writer of the book, really did the research and it translated into the script. So you look for that depth of research or originality in the script.
And you yourself, once you got involved in Savages, did quite a fair bit of research as well, didn't you?
I did a little bit. I mean,
you went and tortured some people. That's what you did.
I talked to some people.
But I mean,
They
you
talk to
do
me.
look into
I
that sort of
listen.
thing. You do look into that sort of thing when you do a role like this, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fun part of taking a role, any role, is the research part. That's really like where it becomes, it's fun, and it also makes you feel that you own it, or that that you own it, or that I don't know. I would use a metaphor that you ground it to something, and that research. The research that you do, it's the thing that grounds you to the character and makes you feel that, quote unquote, you are the guy, or So the research is it's a lot of fun.
Are there any questions that have popped up while we've been talking? I see there's the hand up there.
I've seen actors go for like a method approach, or some actors take a much more lighter approach and just kind of experience the film set and go home, not worry about it. But considering the deep and dark characters that you play, do you take it home with you a little, or does it kind of lead a little darker side in the back of your mind?
No, I got dark hair, but no, I don't. I studied. I got lucky, and I studied with. I studied the method a little bit, and I studied Meissner, which are different techniques in America. I don't know if they have them here, and I had a chance to study with Stella Adler, who is really the technique that I kind of gravitate to the most. And her approach was you really have to understand the story, and as an actor, you are telling the story, and to understand that. So when I get a role, I just go from that perspective. I try to understand the story, and I don't look at it so much like it's my story. I look at it like it's a story, and then I kind of like go into it trying to really understanding what is the purpose of my character in this story. And then from there, I can create something, or well, I'll give you an example. I did a movie called The Usual Suspects a while back. Great script, great cast. Well, when I read the script, my character died on page 37. And the purpose of my character was that it was the first one in the group that died. And there was nothing else. He had a line here, a couple lines there. And I went up to the director, Brian Singer, and the writer, Christopher McQuarrie, and I said, I can do anything here. I can, if you let me, I'll just go off on a tangent and create a mumbler. I had seen Dick Tracy and Dustin Hoffman had done the original mumbler. And so I just took it from there. So it wasn't like, ooh, I got this idea, and I understood that my character's purpose, so it gave my character, with the permission of the director and the writer, I was allowed to create this character that mumbled right through it, and it didn't matter what he said because he was going to die on page 37.
You were talking about researching movie roles earlier. I really loved Che, both parts, obviously.
Thank you.
And I would imagine you were probably quite daunted by playing that character, given your kind of Southern American history. What was your kind of, how long did it take, first of all, and how kind of nervous were you that you would do the man justice?
Okay. That was an idea we had in '97. And then cut to, I'm doing a movie called Traffic. The same producer who did Traffic and Laura Bigford, had an idea of doing a movie about Che. We tried to go out to some writers to get a script going on that, and it was pretty daunting. It was the thing with Che is that Che is not just a story about a man. It's a story about a whole country. It's a huge and deep and extensive story. And so Steven Soderbergh came up gave us the backup that, you know, he would be involved in it. And so then we went to, and doing the research, we found 2 books that Che Guevara had written. One is called The Reminiscence of a Revolution, which he wrote about the Cuban Revolution, and he wrote it after the revolution. And then the other one was a diary that he kept while he was in Bolivia. So we started with the idea of doing one movie on the Bolivian diaries. We traveled to Cuba several times. We met people that knew him. We met his wife. We met many people that knew him. We started to learn the history. And at some point, Steven came up with the idea of doing 2 movies, basing the first part on the first book that he wrote. So we put that second movie together in about 8 months, and we just went out and we just threw ourselves out of that plane, and we just shot for the best and did it. I'm very proud of the film. So you know, it was the research was huge, and it was an experience that, you know, I could write a book about it. You know, it was a beautiful experience, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm glad you liked it.
Thanks.
And thank you.
Felt sick at points in this movie, and in movies like it, and I just wonder how you feel. Like, do you feel like there's a solution, or is it just like, I'm portraying this and people are seeing it?
No, I really think it's a very serious situation. It's a very serious situation. I mean, this is fiction, but sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And you know, I really think that there's a really sad situation going on in both sides, in Mexico or Latin America, many places in Latin America. Not all of Mexico is full of cartel people, you know, and it's not like every Mexican you'll meet is a cartel person. But there is a problem in the States too. And I think what this movie is trying to say, and I'm sorry it got you a little sick, and probably I had something to do with it, but I shaved the mustache just for you.
Love the mo.
But my thing is, like, I think this movie's trying to say that the tactics that have been implemented to deal with the problem of the war on drugs, they have to be restudied, and we need like a new experiment, because the old one has been going on for 4 decades, maybe even longer, and it doesn't seem to work. And so I think if the movie is making a point, is that we need to, I think there is a beginning when it comes to marijuana, but drugs are a touchy subject because not every drug is marijuana or alcohol. You know, there's some drugs that are really dangerous in the wrong hands, so there is you have to educate, and there's got to be a new approach to it, because the problem is the violence and the money, because there's a lot of money, and the money leads to the violence, and one feeds the other. And I think that if anything, the movie's trying to say that if it's sending a message, it's like we need to like reconsider the tactics of how to deal with this war.
There's a lot of political undertones in quite a few of your films. Obviously, we mentioned Che, this, Traffic. Do you take that into consideration, the politics behind a movie, when you're getting involved?
Well, you know, take this movie. If it wasn't an Oliver Stone movie, it would have been I don't know if I would have jumped on this movie, because, you know, it's a serious subject, and I think it had to be in the hands of someone that I feel I can trust to be landing this plane, if it was a plane. But so the fact that Oliver Stone was making this film made me be part of it.
And Oliver Stone knows his way around drugs and telling stories about drugs.
Well, and he's a political guy, and he's made some of the most important films about politics, and some of the most important films in Hollywood. You know, he's one of the few really left-wing directors that makes a point and doesn't buckle for nobody.
Are there directors that you haven't yet worked with that you'd very much like to?
Well, there's a long list, yeah.
Anyone at the top of the list?
Well, there's Scorsese, there's Woody Allen, there's the Coen brothers, you know, there's Almodovar. There's many filmmakers that you know you wish you could work with, and maybe one day you get a chance to work. But I've done pretty good.
Yeah, definitely done pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other? We've got a dude down there.
Have you ever had any weird fan experiences, and if so, what was the weirdest?
I don't know. I guess I had a weird experience. I was at a bar, and some guy goes, "Where's the stone?" And I just look at him, and he goes, "Where's the stone?" He kept going, "Where's the stone? Where's the stone?" And I left. And then it clicked, maybe 2 hours later. Sometimes I'm slow, you know. And then he goes, "Oh man, that guy was quoting a line I said in Snatch." So that was weird. I think it was weird for him. I kind of looked at him and I left. So yeah, that's one that comes to mind right now.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We all like the idea of collaboration, but realistically, it's quite difficult. So I'd like to hear your response of what you have found about collaboration.
You know, it's like there's like two questions or maybe there's two answers to that question. First of all, I think every actor doubts that he or she will ever work again. There's a lot of doubts in the arts. You know, sometimes you know, there's a quote by the Coast Guard that is very interesting. It says, "You have to go out, but you don't have to come back." And it's a lonely thing that, you know, when you make a choice, whether you're a painter or a musician, that you say, "This is what I'm doing," you're really open and exposed, and there is all this negativity that can come in and all that stuff. But in reality, when you work with other actors, if you don't open up and play on the positive, nothing is going to move. That's been my experience. That if you don't relate and receive and listen and work with the other actor, and if they don't do that with you, the scene is not going to go anywhere. And yeah, there's been ups and downs, and there's like, there's always, the thing of like, you trying to do what you're trying to do, and there's ups and downs in anything that you do, especially when it comes to the arts, because, I mean, you can study law and become a lawyer or work in an office with lawyers and all that stuff, but as an actor, it's like, I don't know how I'm there. I have no idea. And I got my instincts, and I got, I have like, perhaps I have a huge ego and a low self-esteem, and they both come in together, and you try to like, work that in and work, but the bottom line is that you do the work and you hope for the best and you trust your instincts, and you have to give.
All right, everybody, put your hands together. Make sure Benicio knows this character is different and better.
Thank you.